My guest, who asked to be called Max, used tricks and manipulation to get his girlfriend pregnant, believing it would bind her to him. But the news that the baby would be born with a medical condition changed everything. Now Max sees his fiancée and the child as a burden and fears that instead of the family he dreamed of, he will end up with the destruction of his future and his dreams.
Since childhood, I knew I needed a family. It wasn't just some abstract idea, some dream or desire. It was my reality. I was born into a large family, the fourth of 6 children. And you know what? I always saw that as the best thing that could have happened to me. My family was a real team, and I couldn't imagine what it was like to be lonely or alone. Our house was always noisy, always full of sound. My brothers and sisters constantly competed for attention. Someone was yelling, someone laughing, someone crying, but that was exactly the kind of noise I needed. You never felt alone. But when I left for college, everything changed. All those years, all that noisy, chaotic life, and now I was left in silence. The silence was deadly. And the worst part was that I felt like nobody needed me. There were dozens of people around me, but I felt completely alone. College seemed like a cruel environment where there was no place for people who just wanted to be close to others. Honestly, I don't understand why the higher education system is built this way. I was lucky to come from a small town and had spent much of my life on a farm. Although higher education had always been my dream, I found out I wasn't prepared for it. I missed everything I had at home. Eventually, I got used to it, found a circle of friends, became popular, and had a few short-lived relationships. But I never truly bonded with anyone, because I didn't believe I could trust those people. What I needed was support and understanding, not debates about who's making breakfast or taking out the trash. I wanted to meet a girl I could rely on, someone who would be easy and pleasant to be with in every sense. I needed comfort, you know. That comfort came from my relationship with Melinda. If there was anyone who could pull me out of that swamp of loneliness, it was her. She came from another world, bright and luxurious. Like me, she was from a small town and wasn't used to noise or crowds. And she was beautiful. You know the type of girls you meet in the South? She just radiated life, her eyes sparkled, and her amazing figure left me in awe. She was a freshman like me, so everything in college was new to her. I think girls who look like her usually get lots of compliments and attention, especially from rich guys. But Melinda was modest and clearly not spoiled by attention or expensive gifts. I immediately knew this was a chance I couldn't miss. She was a bit younger than me, but already of legal age, and the small age gap didn't bother me at all. I was popular. When I paid attention to Melinda, she seemed stunned that I had chosen her. I liked that. I can't stand chasing girls and fighting for their attention. But with Melinda, it was the other way around. I felt like the desired prize, and that flattered me. She was interesting, charismatic, ambitious, and very naive. She came from a really good family, where her father was the leader. She saw him as Superman. He always supported, protected, and helped her. She could go on and on about how clever he was in business, how he could legally and ethically build a strategy to outplay a competitor and drive them out of the market. All I had to do was mimic a few details of his image, and I had Melinda emotionally hooked. She needed a father figure in this new environment. When I gave her that, Melinda was mine. I also gave her attention, a few nice gifts, arranged some romantic dates, and she lost her head. What puzzled me, though, was that she didn't want to sleep with me. She kept putting it off. The 3rd date, then the 5th. How long was I supposed to wait? Eventually, she admitted that she had never had a serious relationship before, and finally, it all made sense. I should have guessed. Melinda explained that physical intimacy meant much more to her, and she would only do it with her husband. That's when I seriously started thinking about our future. Well, Melinda fit perfectly into the role of a wife. She would be faithful, wouldn't get in the way of my goals, and would follow me wherever I decided to go. And since she came from a big family, I was sure I could build a large family with her. I didn't ask her about it. Why would I? Everything was clear already. Besides, whatever I decide, that's how it will be. She'll thank me later. I never really experienced deep romantic love. I believed that building a family was like construction. You find someone who checks all the boxes, you put in enough effort, and the outcome will satisfy you. Melinda's romantic nature and sensitivity worked in my favor because they made her vulnerable to me. I was certain that if she ever disagreed with me, I'd simply push her a bit, and things would go my way. I didn't think of her as someone with the right to choose. She was just part of my vision. She came from a world where everything was easy and carefree, but that didn't matter. I would make her part of my world. She would be in my world. And she had to accept that. So Melinda became mine, not just in heart, but in body as well. I planned a romantic dinner, offered her some wine, and then proposed on the rooftop. She was shocked. After all, we had only been dating for 3 months, but the ring, the romance, and her feelings did their job. She said yes. Now she was my fiancée, and that was almost a wife. That was the argument I used to corner her, and so she agreed to end the beautiful evening with intimacy. I made sure she enjoyed it as much as I did, because I knew that if I became her first lover, and a good one, it would bind her to me for good. And that's exactly what happened.
I'd like to draw the viewer's attention to this point. Max did try to do things for his girlfriend, and Melinda was happy for a while. But her happiness was never his actual goal. He always had hidden motives. We discussed this in therapy, but Max still doesn't think this approach is problematic. He claims that if the girl is happy, it doesn't matter what the guy was thinking when he gave her that happiness. I disagree with that view, and with my guest's permission, I'm voicing it here. A genuine and deep connection forms when each partner does something for the other with no hidden agenda. This doesn't mean your partner must come first in everything. But it does mean that their joy, happiness, and comfort should matter to you in and of themselves, not because of the benefits they bring you. If you truly enjoy your partner's smile simply because it makes them happy, then your bond is genuine, and you can build a relationship on a solid foundation.
I could see how in love she was, the way she looked at me. Still, my control over her emotions and actions wasn't as strong as I thought. I told her that once I graduated college, I planned to move to another state for work, and that she had to come with me. That's where we'd get married and start building our football team of kids. At first, of course, she didn't understand what I wanted from her. She was loyal and committed in our relationship, but she had no intention of becoming a housewife who gave birth to a new baby every 2 years. On the contrary, Melinda said she enrolled in college because she wanted to build a career. And before that, she wanted to live for herself, experience freedom, and travel. After all, she was only 18. She had accepted my proposal as a sign that our relationship was serious, so she agreed to sleep with me. But that didn't mean she was going to obey me like a wife obeyed her husband in the 19th century. Surprising, right? But what she said next truly shocked me. She declared that if I really loved her, I had to accept, respect, and support her choices. Can you imagine? Who does she think she is? Still, I saw in her eyes that how I reacted to her words would determine a lot, so I tried to hide my real emotions and verbally confirmed that I supported her ambitions. She wanted to check if I was just another guy looking for fun and nothing more. But for me, starting a family wasn't a game, it was a real goal. I was ready to take responsibility, ready to make her a part of my life. So I pretended to support her plans while secretly coming up with my own. I already knew the best way to make her understand that she couldn't be independent. I had to make sure she stayed with me forever. Melinda was strongly against abortion. Honestly, I didn't quite understand why she was so radically opposed to the procedure, but did it really matter? I just needed to make sure she got pregnant, and then she wouldn't be going anywhere. It was pretty easy. I tampered with the condoms I used in advance. And I talked her out of taking the pill. A few months later, she nervously told me the happy news: she was pregnant. Naturally, she was in shock. Melinda hadn't planned to become a mother at 19. She had her own goals and dreams, but I was offering her a better future, and I didn't want her to ruin it with her whims.
To maintain a relationship of trust with my clients, I avoid direct condemnation, though I do highlight the immorality of certain actions. In this case, Max's behavior is clearly unacceptable. I support the idea of the family as a value, but at its core should be the ability to understand and support the interests of all its members. Max used his girlfriend to achieve his own goals but refuses to see his actions as selfish. Perhaps your feedback in the comments will help him better understand his mistakes.
Besides, I think she expected me to be scared. But I was thrilled. To me, it was amazing news. My reaction really surprised Melinda, but she didn't suspect that her pregnancy was my fault, or rather, my achievement. I think she just thought I was trying to be supportive and calm her down. I underestimated how stressed she'd be. Is it really normal for a girl not to want kids? I figured it would pass, but she seemed almost depressed, as if she believed her life was over. I couldn't understand it. I never expected such a reaction to what I saw as the most important moment in a woman's life.
I must emphasize that the viewpoint expressed here is solely that of my client, who voluntarily shares it in this anonymous yet public confession. I support the freedom to choose one's life priorities. While I believe that forming a family and having children is an incredibly meaningful and unique experience, I do not think it is obligatory for everyone, regardless of gender. A woman has the right to decide for herself whether she wants to give birth or have children at all. However, my guest sees things differently and is actively seeking your support in this discussion, which is why he draws attention to this topic.
My joy over the unexpected pregnancy made Melinda suspicious. I didn't expect her to be so clever. We started living together to get used to each other in everyday life. That was her idea. I didn't see what there was to get used to. Domestic life seemed simple to me. But anyway. One day I came home and instead of a hot dinner, I was greeted by an enraged Melinda. On the table in front of her were my tampered condoms. She had been going through my stuff, can you believe that? I was shocked by such rudeness, distrust, and aggression. And you know what? She made me the villain. Melinda started yelling, asking questions. At first, I yelled back, but then I suddenly calmed down. What difference did it make? It no longer mattered. I had done it, and now she was tied to me. I had made her stay. But you know what? I don't regret it. I don't even think it was wrong. I've always craved stability, and now that she was with me, I knew I could give her what she needed. Maybe she didn't like it at first. Maybe she didn't yet understand that it was the right thing for her, that it would benefit her. But over time, she'd come to understand. Maybe not right away, but she'd get used to it. Don't you agree? In therapy, I was told my actions were unacceptable, and was even surprised by a strange fact. In some states, like California, a woman can file a civil lawsuit for damages. Of course, Melinda wasn't planning on going to court, but I want to prove to the professor that he's wrong, and that the public will take my side. At first, things with Melinda seemed to go according to plan. I was happy, because I thought everything I was doing was right. I did it all for us, for our family. She was mine, and the baby would be the bond that sealed our connection. Now I would be her support. I would be the one who was always there, the one who gave her everything she needed. And then, just when everything seemed perfect, when I was sure things would go exactly as I had planned, she told me something that changed everything. She said the baby was sick. It came up during a routine checkup with the doctor. I wasn't just shocked, the news stunned and crushed me. I had been so eager to come home and see my kids, play with them, sit around the table during family dinners. But in all my dreams, the kids were always healthy and, normal. I wasn't going to spend my life raising a child if I couldn't see them playing baseball, performing in a school contest, learning the guitar, and going off to college. What's the point of a family like that? And what was I supposed to do now? The news about my unborn child's illness changed everything. Suddenly, my whole life flipped upside down. Just moments ago, I was a happy, expectant father, and now I felt like a bird with clipped wings, trapped. I'm convinced it's Melinda's fault. It must be something genetic, some kind of defect, right? Everyone in my family is healthy, so it has to be her. Her bloodline is defective, and she cruelly hid that from me. Now it all makes sense. That's why Melinda was so scared when she found out she was pregnant. She knew the baby would be sick, and that's what frightened her. I was furious, but I had to keep myself under control. First, I needed to find out what exactly I was dealing with. If it was something critical, I had to find a way out of this trap. I had a few options. Maybe they weren't entirely moral, I'll admit that. But this was my life and my future we were talking about.
Max will continue his story about how the situation developed. He tried to get rid of the family that, in his eyes, had turned from a dream into a nightmare. He used pressure on his fiancée and even a new relationship as a potential escape route. But eventually, one incident revealed his true motives to those around him, and shattered the life he had built. That's in the next part. I understand that many may view my guest's behavior as immoral or unacceptable. You are free to share your thoughts on his actions in the comments. On a personal level, I do not share his views. However, as a professional, I maintain a sense of detachment and a genuine desire to help him understand himself and work toward a better. And as the host of this space, a place for public yet anonymous confessions, I care deeply about ensuring safety for all, and I must, as always, point out an important detail. To protect anonymity, the images and voices have been altered using advanced technology. This has made it possible to share my guest's deeply personal and morally complex story in full detail with a wide audience, without fear of revealing their identity. It allows for honest feedback from viewers, which may help ease the burden on my guest's heart and provide advice from a large number of objectively minded individuals. Names, locations, and some details have been changed for privacy reasons. Any similarities are purely coincidental. The story is presented as a work of fiction, even if it is based on real events or emotions. For now, please give this video a like to show your interest in my work. And don't forget to subscribe, help me reach my first 1,000 subscribers so I can keep bringing you new guest stories.